Welcome to Brothers-In-Flaw Sports. I'm your host, Normie. Over here we got Cunyato. Down below, you know him, you love him, especially down below, Santana.
That's where I do my best work.
So how y'all doing?
Doing well, but how about yourself?
Yeah, I'm also good. Go ahead.
Doing pretty good. Looks like Cunyato's back at home base. And I got back to home base just in time for the show. Well, I mean, I got back yesterday, but yeah. I only came back just for this show. That's how dedicated I am.
Yeah, hey, and we appreciate that.
Tell you what, I think I'm going to miss.
Dude.
Go ahead.
Do we want to do like a real American heroes one? Like the Bud Light commercials?
I forgot about this commercial.
We salute you, Mr. Podcast co-host. You came back from your vacation just so you can stream to your fan. Yay.
American hero. I miss Beach Kenyato. Looking at myself on the screen now, just being back to regular Kenyato. Beach Kenyato looks much more relaxed.
Okay,
Aviators.
The aviators, the cool shirt.
Nice shirts.
Yeah.
Having someone deliver you beers.
That was amazing.
Well, deliver you nice, refreshing, natural light.
Nice, refreshing, natural light.
Exactly. We gotta get that plug in. You know.
They'll acknowledge us one day.
At least to tell us to stop. Like, that's what
Yeah, I mean, eventually we get some response, you know.
Yeah. Cease and desist.
Yeah, but then that just opens the door. Like as soon as they give me the edge, I'll stick my toes in. We'll go full tilt.
Before you close that door back, just hear me out.
Hear me out. Don't you think that we would get more followers if you were sponsoring us, like for real? And then they'd go, "No, go away." And then I'd say, "Wait, but," and then that would probably be it. I feel like that's probably it.
Yeah, I mean, and then they kick you out of their building.
They need to at least know that we're their biggest customer. You know, like even if they don't sponsor us here, just send us. I mean, we'd probably go through. I mean, worth having a 15-pack sent to the house every time. You know,
send us some swag.
I was gonna say I'll take some swag, a T-shirt or a hat or something. You know.
Oh man, my mom got me a shirt down at the beach that I need to show you guys. If y'all remind me at some point in the show.
Is it I think you showed us last time. It's like a Bigfoot shirt or something.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind. I should have put that on for this show, but I was time crunched a bit.
I hear that. I pretty much jumped out of the shower, dried off, and got here.
If I hadn't been so hungry and this burrito that I sitting right here next to me, well, I guess here for the viewers, hadn't smelled so good, but I smelled it and I was like, I'm going to chomp a little bit.
Where's it from?
That is a good question. I actually don't know. I haven't asked Will about that. I didn't really have time. He got in about 15 minutes before the show, and I regaled him with tales of, because for all of our 0 viewers right now, and for
our viewer,
and for our viewer who are, you know, the 1s, 2s, and 3s that might come in, I went to the beach, and then Santana went to the beach, and then overlapping that, like Venn diagram style, Normie went to the beach, and we all stacked getting back in a different way. So it's been
and Chewbacca did too.
Yeah, and yeah,
the burrito deliverer.
The burrito deliverer. So I have not had. Yeah, that's who I meant. Yeah, Chewbacca was with Santana, so I haven't had a whole bunch of chit chat time with him.
Mm-mm.
Holler to him right now though, because I am curious about the burrito.
I think he's preoccupied, but I'll holler at him here in a bit.
Pooping? Is he pooping?
I mean, what
sounds
like he doing?
Sounds like he's pooping.
That or something else, like.
I will neither confirm nor deny.
Give
My,
maybe.
my co-host will join me. Hang on.
Oh man, but yeah, my how was your drive? Because honestly, both my drives were great. Like, no problems, nothing. Of course, one of them I left at like 5 a.m., so it wasn't that bad. And then the other one I
That
left at
makes
like
sense.
8 o'clock in the morning yesterday.
My drive down was there was a couple of like never a bumper to bumper, but like super duper slow down. Rubbernecking drives me nuts. It's one of the worst driving habits of all time. I mean, these cars for both situations that I'm talking about. Now it's a 2-lane interstate and everybody's doing 70, but they are so far off on the shoulder, like their tires are in the grass, and people still feel the need to slam on the brakes and look. Drives me insane.
Yeah.
But other than those two things, 65 was fine. But once I crossed, like almost immediately, see just go ahead and let you guys know where I was in the Gulf Shores area. As soon as cross like Foley line to Gulf Shores, see the Gulf Shores sign. My GPS told me from there to where I was staying. I think it was, I don't know, give or take 10 to 15 minutes, and then it took me like 40 minutes
Yeah.
because it was also the dead heat of Hangout Fest.
Yep.
Also, there are a lot of interesting people who attend that, and it keeps getting more and more interesting
Mm-hmm.
every year. And also, I feel older and older and older as I witness these people. And the way back was super smooth. Like I had no problems at all. It was very smooth sailing.
Good.
Santana, how about you? Trip down and up.
Trip down was a bitch, and I yelled and complained the whole time. But
You
trip
left on
back,
Friday before Memorial Day weekend.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and not early. It was
Oh,
later. Yeah, I think.
see, I
Now,
went down on the Saturday, but I left at 5 o'clock in the morning.
yeah, that's the way to go about it. If you're going to go 65 south on a vacation weekend, you need to leave early. But uh, Michaela had some school stuff, and Chewbacca was riding with us, and I think he had some stuff going on, and so we left, and it wasn't that bad. It's been a lot worse in my years going south that way. Uh, but what's funny is you realize who the problem makers are generally. You see tags from New Jersey and New York and Missouri and all these other
Kentucky, Arkansas.
Kentucky, all the people who don't drive this road very regularly the way that the rest of us do. And
I saw
we
3
all
Californias.
Yeah, I saw a couple Californias.
Well, Chewbacca and I were laughing about like, why is this still only 2 lanes? We've got people from all 50 states driving down this road.
Do not. I can rant for hours about how terrible and awful and how just totally, absolutely incompetent and the worst department in the entire state of Alabama, which is saying a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, let's be real. That is saying a lot. ALDOT, the Alabama Department of Transportation, is that they don't know their ass from the hole in the ground. The road I live on, they continuously building subdivisions and ain't done shit to the road.
that's true.
That is, I know the road that you live on, and I travel it fairly frequently, and I can't believe that and that's a city problem. That's not even like a state of Alabama problem. Like, how did you not start to plan to allow these subdivisions to be built on a 2-lane road? Because it is an absolute nightmare. It used to only be bad morning and evening traffic. Now, I mean, you can't do the speed limit on that road.
Well, and
You don't have to worry about speeding.
much like the complaint in 65 South heading towards 38, it's hey, this can stop. Like we're flowing good right now, but this could change at any second. So get off my ass, teenager behind me.
Yeah, a person from California, like.
I told the passengers in my vehicle that if I got rear-ended, there was going to be a physical altercation. I didn't know how it would go for me, but I was going to be mad enough. Like you ruined my vacation. You know.
Oh, that would be a headache. That would
On the
be
way
an
back, though, it was
absolute
amazing.
headache.
I don't know if everybody left before me or left after me, but the way back was amazing. It was
Oh yeah, I came
smooth
back.
sailing.
I came back on a Memorial Day one time, and normally it takes about 4.5 hours. It took me about 8 to 9 hours to get home because it was just straight on the interstate, no wrecks, no nothing. You would get up to about 50 miles an hour for about a mile, and then you would slow and stop.
Yep.
And then you
My
get up to 50 miles an hour, slow. And, I mean, and after that, I was like, I'll never go home on a Memorial Day or Labor Day.
my last, I don't know if it was not this previous trip, but either the one before that or the one before that, my 65 North journey, it was an absolute nightmare. Now, to be fair, each and every one of them were wrecks. One of them was a horse trailer that clearly had run off the north side and almost ran all the way into the south side and was turned opposite. I really hope there were either no horses in there or no horses injured. I don't know. I actually kind of get rubbernecking for that one. It was a gnarly wreck. But then there's like 3 or 4 of them. And kind of like it almost doubled my time home.
Mm-hmm.
It was insane. And it was raining.
Yeah.
And I mean, you guys who might view this post, I don't know. If we ever get viewers who want to dig through the archives and don't live in Alabama, Alabama drivers cannot drive in the rain. If it starts to rain, all hell breaks loose.
You live in near Birmingham, and it starts raining, there's going to be a wreck on 65 at 459 every time. There's going to be a wreck there. Probably going to be a wreck on both sides.
Yep.
I don't know what the hell is up with Arkadelphia Road and on 20, that area.
Yep.
Because every morning when I hear the traffic report, there's a wreck right there every time, rain or shine. But especially if it's raining, Arkadelphia Road or around Arkadelphia Road on 20, it's going to be a wreck.
Yeah, you can book it. I mean, call Vegas. We got a bet for you.
Yeah. Sure win.
Sure win.
Atlanta's lock right there.
Yeah, that's out.
Alrighty. Well, we are a sports show. If you want to know that, we are talking about crazy traffic and crazy Alabama drivers.
Yes, we
go ahead.
do.
Oh,
We
sorry.
need better roads.
Sorry, Norman. We went to the same thing.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Yeah, there's a lot of Alabama as well.
Oh, yeah. It definitely is.
Excellent work, Cody.
Let's talk about it's a disappointing weekend for Stallions fans.
Yeah, I didn't watch that game. I thought it was on Sunday for whatever reason. So I missed it, and I haven't gotten time to recap it so much. So Normie, Santana, whatever you guys know about it, let me hear. How did that go?
It went very poorly. I don't know what team went to San Antonio to play, but that was not the Stallions. They looked flat. They couldn't stop. They couldn't tackle the Brahmas running back for nothing. Actually, kind of both of them. They just I don't know. Maybe they knew that not only did they make it to the playoffs, I think they already knew by then that the playoff game was going to be in Birmingham. So I don't know if it was something like that. Martinez just didn't look really good. But they still stayed in the game. I mean, they lost by 1 score and had the ball, but Martinez he forced a pass and threw a pick, and that was the game. But they just seemed flat, like right out the gate. Like just didn't seem like they really wanted to be there. I know John Chavis he wasn't there that game either, as far as defensive wise. And also that he is no longer with the team. I'm not sure if
I
if
hadn't
it's
heard that.
Jim's, yeah, they just announced that yesterday, the day before yesterday. Um, I know 2 weeks ago he didn't make it to Birmingham because they said he was sick. I hope it's nothing bad or anything like that. Just maybe just taking some time off right now. Um, but I'm not sure. They were kind of fuzzy about the details. We might never really even know the full details behind it. Uh, it may have some other things because I figured if it was like an illness or something like that that suddenly kind of popped up, that maybe they would say that just so it wasn't so like in the dark. I don't know. Right now it's just speculation.
It's weird. Yeah, and like you said, I mean, hopefully it's nothing health related or anything like that. Obviously, we always wish for everybody to be well and healthy, and this, that, or the other. But still, yeah, very odd situation. I had a weird feeling about that game though too. Like I was like, I mean, obviously what they'd done 13-0 or 14-0,
I think that was
dating
the
back to even.
first loss in 15 games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, so 14-0 leading into that game. I mean, I think with Skip Holtz, that's his fourth loss as a Stallions head coach. Like
Third.
from third, okay, yeah, from and that's obviously predating it being the UFL when it was the USFL. So he's
Mm-hmm.
still doing a hell of a job. I mean, you can't win them all.
Yeah. And even with him, like he even seemed frustrated, which he never looks frustrated on the sidelines.
No, he always looks
But
fairly
even
calm, cool, and
him,
collected.
he seemed frustrated. And from some of the rumors I've heard too, that it was very loud in that dome, and that may have had something to do with it. But if it's loud in that dome, and they face the Battlehawks in St. Louis,
Yep,
who average about 30,000 fans a game,
yep. They packed that place out to give the middle finger to the Rams.
yep. So
Uh, Tight end Jay Sternberger was on next round today. Did you hear him?
I didn't hear him.
I haven't.
I knew he was on there, but I meant to watch it, but I was busy.
Well, he just mentioned to them that he said they needed a wake up call after the last few games had been close, and
Yes.
that may have done it. I don't know if it did or not, but he was definitely acknowledging the fact that sometimes you can get a wake up call by playing close games, but it seems like the Stallions had been playing close and hadn't really thought anything of it, and so got punched in the mouth a little bit.
Yeah, because they with when they play the Roughnecks, and the Roughnecks are a terrible team. They're like a one win team,
One win.
Mm-hmm.
and there were many times we could have closed that game early, or just closed it down, even in the fourth quarter. Many times. One time we made a huge defensive stop, and then one of our players in celebration, rips his helmet off, and that was 15 yards, and they ended up scoring and cutting it to a one-score game. Like it kind of seems like disciplinary type of things. There was one part that Brahma's touchdown that put him up by 9. We had him stopped, and the guy that made the tackle, and then put in like a forearm into the Brahma's like receiver's face, like on the ground, kind of. And you could clearly see it. Like he did it, and they threw it. I mean, and that was free first down. They scored and put it to 9. Like it's just stupid mistakes like that.
That's something that can be pointed to directly, not having Chavis on the sideline, like the frustration of losing your defense coordinator, almost done with the season.
On the complacency of like, yeah, we play close games, but we keep pulling them out because Skip Holtz has been saying this for a little while. It was the Battlehawks game where they blocked a punt late,
Yes,
like a routine punt that basically would have iced the game, and then instead it puts them like to where
puts them at the 50.
Exactly, gives Battlehawks a chance to drive and tie it up, or go for I can't remember the extra point system there, like go for the all out run, but the defense stepped up and shut it down. But like there's just things that he's been saying all year long. I'm happy that we're winning, but we are not playing our best football. We have got to clean a lot of stuff up, and it caught up.
It definitely did. They could. You take most of those mistakes away, they easily beat the Brahmas. Like the week prior, they take a bunch of those mistakes away, and that's a 14, 21 point game that they beat the Roughnecks. So hopefully Sternberger's right. Hopefully, was the kind of their wake up call. The only problem is too, you got a difficult situation going in now. They're playing the Michigan Panthers for the last game of the season, and then immediately the next week playing the Panthers again.
Ooh, don't like that.
Yes.
Don't like that at all.
So normally there's been time, because the first 2 years the USFL, they played the Breakers. Well, they would play them both times in the regular season, kind of early season, midway through the season, and then have somebody else, and then be playing the Breakers.
Yeah, back to back. I mean, it's tough to beat any team twice, anyways. But then back to back like that.
Mm-hmm.
All the playoffs, because the next time would be because the playoffs are pretty much set now, right? So the next time would be in the playoffs, and all of the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken, are taking place in St. Louis, right?
No.
No.
The USFL bracket is in Birmingham regardless.
Okay.
Because of a scheduling conflict with Detroit's dome.
Okay.
So regardless, and then I think the Brahmas actually are at the top of the XFL league. Yes, they are. So they may play that game in San Antonio. With the championship game for sure, it's in St. Louis.
Okay. I had a misunderstanding there.
Now the first USFL year in 22, they played both divisional games and the championship in Canton. Okay. And then last year they did them at home. So I wish they were still playing the championship game in Canton. That was because both times when they won, and then they walked the trophy over to the actual
right there in the hall. Yep. I didn't realize until the last week or two. I'd heard it. I can't remember where, that Birmingham Stallions games are traveling games for them because they all have the hub in Dallas.
Yeah, all teams stay. It's either Houston or San Antonio. Are they all Dallas?
I heard Dallas, but somewhere in Texas, I suppose. I heard Dallas.
Yeah. And then they fly to their home market. Whereas in the USFL, they had the hubs, and then the teams stayed at the hubs.
Yeah.
So it gave them a lot more opportunities to do fan outreach things and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's growing pains, especially with, both leagues are so young, and now combining them, even more logistics to work out and whatnot. Hopefully they can smooth that out. But man, that would suck to where every game that you play, basically you have to travel.
Yeah.
Because the very first year for the USFL, every team was based in Birmingham, right?
Yep. That was so fun.
That was neat.
Fun.
They would just do a Saturday and Sunday.
Started
at 11, ended 8 p.m. Just game.
There were many Saturday and Sundays where it was back-to-back games, and I would go catch, even if it wasn't a Birmingham game, go catch the first game, and then stay for the second one and be there all day just watching football. Man, that was so fun. I was pretty disappointed when they, but I was also excited after last year too, because that meant that instead of just one hub, there were 4 hubs, so it was expanding out.
No, that's what it needs.
So much fun.
That's what it needs. I mean, everything needs to grow, and do an organic growth. And obviously, this is even more headache for them to navigate because, I think so far, at least scheduling wise and whatnot, they've done a good job. I like that everybody gets to play everybody. They've got at least a plan for the championship game so that like if you are a diehard Stallions fan and feel like traveling to St. Louis to be a very minor fan, like you will be a dot of red and a sea of blue, I imagine.
Yeah. Now they did get a lot of fans at the Canton games.
Yeah.
So they definitely got a lot of them.
Well, hopefully
Stallions fans will travel.
Hopefully it continues.
I hope so too, and I hope the Stallions can get back in gear, get out of this rut.
Well, they've already locked up the number 1 seed. They got one more regular season game. So if they get it done last week of the season, or at least look, energized, not flat and whatnot, then at least that's a step in the right direction. And then,
when you have
get after it.
You have leader in the MVP race, leading the offense. You have Skip Holtz, and he's proven what he can do. Hopefully, the Chavis thing doesn't hurt him too badly, and they can, again, like Sternberger said, like this will be what wakes them up. Also, statistically, I didn't see exactly what completion percentage and everything was for Hernandez, but or Martinez, I'm sorry. But he's still 211 for 56 yards, I think. Like 211 rushing or passing and 56 yards rushing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not like a garbage game.
I was going to say like 112 or something of them was to Sternberger alone. Which he's been missing this year.
This whole season.
Yeah.
That was kind of his like breakout, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, because last year, I mean, that was Magoo's guy. Like we needed a big play, like in that Stars game we all went to, like fourth and 12, and we're driving for the go ahead touchdown, and he finds Sternberger. Like that was his guy, and that was the guy. So it's good to see him back, kind of.
How many of these
being that guy?
How many of these receivers are on the roster last year? Because we were talking last week just about how kind of deep the receiver room is. That may be.
So Deion Kane, number 8, he was on the team. Sternberger was the tight end. Let me see. Let me pull up their roster just so I can. All right. So I think Marlon Williams got hurt the first game. So he was a big contributor in year 1. And then year 2, he got hurt in the first game, and that was the end of the season. But I think that's about it. The rest are newer.
Yeah, so they've added the guy from Notre Dame. They've added
Kevin Austin Jr.
Yeah, who can fly.
Amari Rogers, Isaiah Zuber.
Amari Rogers and Deion Kane are the same person. I think that should be something that we are looking at as possible simulation theory glitch. Small, fast guys from Clemson.
They got him.
But yeah, so I mean, maybe that's the thing with what Sternberger's do. What
Deion Kane's 6'2", and Amari Rogers is 5'9".
Same size.
Close.
I'm 5'9", but everybody mistakes that I'm 6'2", so I mean it's basically the same.
Yeah.
But anyway, the roster or depth at receiver now, hopefully we can blame that and on Sternberger's lack of production versus last year, and hopefully we get to that game. Maybe his breakout going forward, and what a perfect time to have a breakout heading into the playoffs.
Oh yeah, and hopefully we'll be like, because that was he was frustrating at times. Not as well. Yeah, it wasn't as frustrating as the DC game where we fumbled the ball twice inside the 5 yard line, but close enough.
Yeah, I actually think I watched some of that with you, Normie. Right? Wasn't that the one that I was watching?
I think we watched the Renegades one, the first game together.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I can't recall the details. I feel like there were fumbles in scoring positions a couple of times in that game, but I could be dead wrong. I need to do better due diligence, viewer, for for keeping up for a team that I actually do have like nothing but love for, and really do hope that they do well and that the league does well.
Mm-hmm.
And it is fun. It's super fun. Anybody like I advocate anybody who has not been to a USFL game or UFL game and you live somewhere near one of those stadiums to go. It's got good food, cold beer, and like a very like close, almost high school football, like Friday night type atmosphere, which you kind of miss sometimes. That all kind of gets lost in the wash for big college games and NFL games a lot of
Yeah,
the time. Like,
and
but
it's not as daunting as far as going as well. Like we went to a couple Alabama games before, and it's like it can be overwhelming. Yeah,
the
finding your
traffic is nuts.
traffic is nuts. Finding your parking spot, already having a parking spot before you even get there, because you got to have that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, getting around, and your parking spot's probably going to be about a half mile away from the actual stadium, and then you got to
See,
walk to the right part of the stadium.
yep.
Whereas these games is like, all except that Battlehawks game, which I will say the Battlehawks fans they travel too, because there was a lot of them there. And 2 hours before the game, that gravel parking lot was full, and that's the parking
Wow.
lot I park in all the time. And I've gotten there 30 minutes before the game and been able to get in it. But normally there's not that much, big, and then even like walking to the stadium, I mean, you're right across the street from the stadium. So to me it may be more fun than going to an Alabama game. Now the Alabama games I've been to are like Mercer and San Diego State or somebody like that, because usually tickets are like $15.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then you're hitting like an LSU or an Auburn or whoever. Like, I mean, you're talking. You start in the 200 range a lot of those times, and they can work their way up to like not a box seat. I'm telling you, like just a 50-yard line closer to the field can get upwards of 4 digits quickly.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking, 100, 200, and that's like in the upper deck of the end zone, like
Oh yeah,
maybe
that's
five rows down from the top.
Yeah, you can get scared of heights
Yeah.
at the big SEC games.
Those Bryant Denny, those upper decks, they're like this.
Oh,
and
man.
I'm not really exaggerating that much.
Have you been to Jordan Hare's upper deck?
Uh-uh.
It's even worse. Like because Bryant Denny's wider, it holds more people, so it's more spread out. And yes, those upper decks are, because I've been to those at least once, maybe twice. AJ's family had Santana's family had seats in one of the upper decks in Jordan Hare, and like you look down the steps as you're like walking down. It's like, man, if I trip, I can stop myself.
It is what adds to the noise in Jordan Hare, though, because
it's why it's so much louder, because it's tall, so it holds the sound in. Well, it's so much louder. But what gives it a more for having 10 to 15,000 less people there, but it's straight up and down rather than like more bowl-esque.
Yeah,
it feels the sound echoes a lot.
I'm obviously biased, but I've been to big games in both stadiums, and I do think Jordan Hare gets gets louder. Like just crowd noise specifically. Like it's loud in Bryant-Denny, and you obviously have a home field advantage in Bryant-Denny, but I do think that just overall noise.
I've actually talked about this with I know you, Cunyato, but like I've just, with the exception of like this year, like the Tennessee game, LSU game, close games in Bryant-Denny, it never seemed like our stadium gave us an advantage like Jordan Hare gives Auburn.
I don't think that there's a
People
stadium.
don't, because a lot of people talk about you don't want to go to Death Valley, you don't want to go to Jordan Hare, but they rarely talk about like, oh, Bryant-Denny, it's a tough place. I mean, yeah, it's a tough place. It's a Power 5, good team, stadium. So yeah, it's going to bring something, but it never seems to bring what Jordan Hare brings to Auburn's football team.
Now, with that being said, I agree 100%. Couldn't agree more. And I think I said this, when we've talked about it previously. What is an undeniable fact, though, is that especially under the Nick Saban era, Alabama's home record is absolutely insane. It feels like it's just because the players are in their comfort zone. And don't get me wrong, I've also heard the crowd be a factor, but it doesn't seem like it's. I don't think that there's and I've heard other people who are not Auburn homers, not even from Alabama, like national sports people, say that there is something weird about the advantage that Jordan Hare can give you. I've heard, in fact, one of our local guys, Lance Taylor's like, I give them what I would put the line at, what I'm making my line at, I give a 7-point boost if they're playing in Jordan Hare, just because it's just got something weird about it. I don't know what it is. I don't think that the fans are any more passionate than Bama fans, LSU fans. I don't know if it's the design of the stadium. I don't know, but there is some voodoo there. I've watched it, luckily been on the good side of it. Finally, it's on the bad side of it this year. Nick Saban had a joke about that. And what a way! In fact, maybe that's why he retired. Because I get to walk out.
We've talked about it on this show before, that was something that I actually can take away from since he retired. I can look at that game and that play, 4th and 31, and be like, hey, he's had so many nightmares that happened to him in this game. Like Saban would have already been like, he's already the greatest ever to do it, but he would have put himself so far and away if kick 6 doesn't happen. I watched the highlight of the Gus Malzahn and the Bo Nix team that put the offense out on 4th down, and Bama was exchanging punt team and defense, and ended up getting called for 12 men on the field. There's all sorts of just weird crap that has happened. The Mac Jones game with all the interceptions, like hell, even the game that they won in overtime, that team had no business being on the field. That particular Auburn team had no business being on the field. Yeah. So it's actually kind of endearing now that it sucks that it happened, but even as an Auburn fan, I can look at it and be like, if you're going to ride off into the sunset, Goat, like, do it when you finally had something weird happen for your team.
Yeah, like it happened good on like your end, like get to experience it from the positive side. So, and it's not, I mean, we had just lost to New Mexico State. Like, obviously it's not a blown season, but I mean, we weren't going to the CFP or anything like that. I mean, obviously always great to beat your rival, and I always pull for Auburn, but it solidified Bama's spot getting in. Otherwise, we would have watched a Jordan Travis-less Florida State team just get throttled, in my opinion. I could be wrong. We'll never know. Florida State fans, if you ever watch this, I have the utmost respect for the team that you guys had.
With Jordan Travis.
Yeah, with Jordan Travis. So
who'd they play in the championship?
Louisville,
yeah. And Louisville should have beat them.
Yep, I think that game was like 13-7 or something. Like neither team could score. Both defenses were good, but offenses just looked like garbage.
Weren't they down to their third quarterback in that game though?
They were. They were.
So, and the second team guy would have been back for the playoffs, and I think
Yes,
that
he would have.
I think that was a lot of people's argument, was that he was significant, upgrade over the third string guy. But I think that Florida State. I mean, there's no point in talking about this now. I do think Florida State gets demolished, but I also think that you can't look at a bunch of kids and be like, if you win all the games, you'll get in, and
Yeah.
you
It
win
was
all the
rough,
games.
man.
And,
It was rough. I'm glad that we're going to 12 so that something like that doesn't happen again, because that's the first time we've ever seen a scenario like that. But it is so hard to keep a one-loss SEC championship team out. First off, just because of the power brokers of the Power 5 conferences, we know the two, it's Big Ten and SEC.
Mhm.
So, I mean, like, you wouldn't have had any SEC representation at all in the championship. I mean, it boggles the brain, and I think they have said that there is an eyeball test factor to it.
And that roster goes into it as well.
Yeah. Well, and that's what the injuries are affected. That is in the guidelines. That is, like, I think from the original guidelines. So I don't disagree with the decision, but it does. I mean, I would have been fine if Florida State had gotten in. I don't think that you would have been putting the four best teams in. I'm not 100% sure you put the four best teams in anyways without Georgia representing, but they lost the game at the end.
Yeah.
which again goes back to why it sucks for Florida State, because that's what's supposed to happen. You win the games or you lose the games. Florida State wins all their games.
No, I felt terrible for them.
Well, and I think, realistically, Florida State was great with Jordan Travis, and I look forward to seeing what Jordan Travis does at the next level. But I think that the teams that went probably put up a decent enough fight. Bama probably beats Florida State head to head anyway, so that obviously neither here nor there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. No, not any point worth talking about it now. It's as Rafiki says, doesn't matter. It's in the past.
It's in the past.
The show's only better, or it can only get better when we get a Rafiki reference.
Oh man. But yeah, hopefully the Stallions can pull it off, or at least start heading back in the right direction.
And fingers crossed. I mean,
They got two whacks at it, so
yeah, 2 bites at the apple. And have they ever not won the championship?
no, that the first 2 years they won both years.
But
Now,
no,
last-
obviously it's with
last year,
XFL as well.
They actually lost 2 games last year,
Mm-hmm.
so I mean they're sitting fine.
Well, they've won 2 and were up until recently steamrolling towards a third.
Yeah.
With 3, technically 4, with the 2 guys this year, different starters at quarterback too, which is something that, and one of those guys is 3rd or 4th string on the roster right now, isn't he?
Yeah, J.M.R. Smith.
Yeah.
He was the one that led them to the first year.
Yeah, and then Magoo last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, my good.
The funny thing is, Magoo ends up winning the MVP. Has a stellar year. The first game of the season, he did not start.
Yeah.
J.M.R. Smith was the starter and got hurt, and that's why Magoo got in. And then
I'll tell you what, he took
Magoo
over
took
though.
over.
Yeah, man, he did. He was fun to watch play in person. I watched a good bit of him on TV, and also he looks so damn cool, man.
With that long hair.
Yeah, it was just a long hair, don't care, 1 arm tattoo sleeve. It just looked cool, and I've heard he's a nice guy.
Yeah, I met him. He's always great with fans. Just walk, hey, Alex, and then he'll immediately come up towards you like, hey, how's it going? Just not like kind of like shy away or like start walking really fast away. Like no, when people like acknowledge him, he immediately beeline right for him.
Cool, very cool. I hope he gets a shot. Go ahead.
I met one of his friends at that game. We were all out, and I think that he's probably a pretty nice guy to have, again, friends like that person.
And he's a local boy too, right?
No, he is from Florida, I think.
Oh, okay.
He's Florida
Okay.
International, but I think he is from Florida.
Gotcha. Yeah, I knew he played at FIU, but I thought that he might have come from around this area. But yeah, I mean, he's got the Florida look. But yeah, he looked so damn cool. I hope that he gets some kind of shot in the NFL. I mean, if the team he's currently with it looks very difficult because Jordan Love is very young, but and also that can transition us into
Yeah,
our
he's from
next.
around. Sorry, he's from around Tampa.
Okay. Um, yeah, transition us. Santana had pitched talking about some dark horse NFL teams and possibly college teams. We can do both. We can do one and then the other next week. Doesn't matter to me. Or do you
Well,
guys want to talk about Isaiah Bugs? I don't care.
I've got a couple of wait before we get into the big topic of underdog dark horse NFL teams. Can I bitch about Jalen Waddle's extension?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And then I just, as we were doing this, going through all the sports stuff that I'm looking at, Butker does seem to be losing some time, but it has nothing to do with his comments. And actually, I'm actually reading an article about that right this second, like actually pretty interested in the decision to do so. And I wonder how many other teams might do something like that. Talk about not using him fully on kickoffs. Because their special teams coordinator said, if you watch the XFL, we watched every play. I bet kickers were involved in probably at least 25 to 40% of the tackles. And overall, they're just saying that they don't want Butker involved in tackles, obviously.
yeah.
And they have Justin Reed on the roster, who, when he filled in for kicking duties against the Cardinals, he had 5 touchbacks and 2 extra points. So now with the new rules, you put a guy who can put the ball in the end zone or put the ball wherever he needs to put it, and then also is a tackler by trade. I think that I mean, because I've already heard people talk about potentially Christian McCaffrey or Deebo Samuel being the Brown kick returner for the 49ers. So I could definitely see where you have less specialty return guys. I hadn't even thought about what you would do with the kicker, and
We'll save the leg, keep him healthy. Not that I've seen too many kickers get injured on tackles, but
well, I mean, if in the NFL, how many times is the kicker involved? Like very rarely.
Rarely,
I imagine not.
yeah, with the new rules, that exactly.
Yeah, because you're going to be. What exactly is the new rule? It's like kicking, like everybody's like right on top of each other to start.
So I think they're at the 30, I think, on both sides of the 30, and then the ball has to be kicked inside the 25.
Yeah,
and you can't go in the end zone either. It has to be kicked inside the 25.
the landing zone.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
so
like that.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I mean, and it's going to be very cool if teams start. Like, I think that's what's cool to me is like I've watched a standard kickoff team and kickoff return team my entire life, and now to see the NFL transition to this particular, you have to start implementing new strategies. And the Chiefs just so happen to have a safety who's a good kicker too. So why wouldn't you save your all-pro kicker for specifically field goals?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've done stuff like that in the past, and other teams have, where like the punter is like a better kickoff person than
Sure,
a field goal kicker, so he does all the
sure,
kickoffs.
right, and that's good and well, but to have teams start putting their, safeties
Justin
in, or
Tucker.
the Ravens need to find somebody on the defense who can kick pretty well. You get like Patrick Queen or somebody out there. You start having kickoff tryouts and OTAs to see if any of your defensive players, so you don't have to risk Justin Tucker.
And that could be one of those like specialties, because you have those guys that are they're on the roster and pretty much all they do is special teams.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be a huge opportunity for some people.
Yeah, you get drafted late or undrafted free agent, and you're like, hey, coach, just by the way, I can also kick pretty all right.
Yeah.
Nope, we lost him.
He should
thought
have plugged that Ethernet cord.
I almost said it initially, and I was like, he knows it better than I do. But when he stood up just then, I thought that that's probably what he was doing.
Mm-mm-mm. But yeah, you don't want Justin Tucker out there.
No, I mean,
No.
and if you do keep your prom kicker out there, Tucker or Butker or whatever it may be, you probably tell them, hey, you're just we'll play a man down. You kick it and then come to the sideline. Like we'll deal with the return man in a different way, because if they're legit involved in the tackle 25 to 40% of the time,
especially with like a weapon like Butker and Tucker and something with Carlson, some of your elites. No, if it's a Rams kicker, doesn't matter. We're gonna play 3 or 4 of them a year, anyways.
I imagine that
Greg Zerline.
I imagine we'll start letting Wisnowski be our kickoff guy, our punter, because that dude's a hoss, and
he is a hoss.
I've seen him. He's made tackles on the punt team that I'm thinking he could probably play defense if we needed him to. Also, Australian rules guy, I think, is where we got him anyways. So,
well, and that may be something too that they start really heavily bringing in.
Some Australian
guys, rugby guys,
Aussie Roughnecks, Normie, and I think both of you guys probably. Y'all remember Lane Bearden for Alabama?
Oh yeah,
like drilled people.
Punting the ball with a torn ACL? Yeah, I remember him.
Not punted the ball with a torn ACL and made like 2 or 3 tackles with a torn ACL.
Yeah,
and not like kicker tackles, punter tackle, like lit people up.
Yeah, like form tackle, not swiping at the legs.
Yeah, it was impressive. But yeah, we might see a lot more of those type of people coming in. I'm here for it. I'm excited to see how it all works with it in full speed, full motion. Nothing against UFL, XFL, USFL, but the monsters that do make up the NFL. They are all so fast and so strong, and most of them so big.
Oh yeah,
except for Tutu Atwell, but he's so fast. And Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Speaking of another little guy, Jalen Waddle. So what's your thing on Jalen Waddle?
So I was prepared. I was prepared for us, and I think we talked about this last week before. I was prepared for Amon-Ra St. Brown type of a deal for Brandon Ayuk, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought that because of what the Sun God did this past year specifically, I mean, you could argue that he was the best receiver in the league this past year.
Yep.
And so I thought that maybe we'd be shooting just below Sun God money. And then fucking Jalen Waddle goes and gets an extension. First off, Sun God was 4 years, 120, 77 million guaranteed. Jalen Waddle goes off and today gets 3 years, 84.75 million with 76 guaranteed. And that comes out at 28.25 a year. And reason
he's not
that
the best receiver on his team.
Right, he's not. He's not. But I also saw a tweet earlier, and I don't remember what the exact stats were, but Waddle and Ayuk's stats were pretty comparable. So when I think about Jalen Waddle, do I think number one guy? No, but because he's not the number one guy on his team. Do I think? I mean, I've liked Jalen Waddle since he was at Bama.
He was great.
Other than that, he played for Bama, but he's not even the second, or he's not even the first guy on his team. And he just broke the market the way I told Kenyatta earlier that he kirked us. He Christian kirked us the way that Kirk fucked the market a few years ago.
I was so
Waddle screwed it now because, I mean, when St. Brown got his deal, he became the highest paid receiver in the league. And again, I was like, that makes sense. I have no problem with that particular deal.
Top 5 guy.
For sure. For sure. This specific season, especially. Waddle, and the fact that Waddle got a deal, and this doesn't just fuck me. This isn't just an issue with what San Francisco will have to pay. CeeDee Lamb's looking for a deal. there's like 3 or 4 other guys of that
T.
kind of level.
Higgins.
T.
T. Higgins would be a very good comparison.
Yeah, T. Higgins is almost and I would love to see the numbers on that because again, Ayuk and Waddle's numbers were pretty similar this year. So it looks like we're probably going to be paying Brandon Ayuk around the $30 million mark a year if we intend to keep him long term. Which up until I saw the Waddle numbers, I thought, yeah, let's definitely keep him. But I don't know, man. Like we got so many players to pay. And
Debo's is up next year.
Yeah, and when we just signed Juwan Jennings to an extension, just signed him to a 2-year extension. I've seen some 49er beat guys say that doesn't really impact Debo or Ayuk, but I also think with drafting Pearsall in the first round, I'm not real sure how that wouldn't. I'll do some more reading on that and report back next week. But also just saw somebody just randomly in comments mention how maybe we skim the running back room and keep the receiver room deep. I don't know how that would work, but because Debo would be able to play running back too, I don't know. So we'll see in the goings forward, but I would expect either we're going to find out real soon, and I just hope we get a deal done before CeeDee Lamb and before T. Higgins, because if either of those guys push the numbers even further than what Waddle just did, and again, also I kind of had the thought like, did Mike Daniels have any thought, because he seems like the type of mad scientist that would do this, and he may not have any GM pull at all. But if he said, hey, if we go ahead, because Tyreek isn't going to be around forever, if we go ahead and sign Waddle, that's going to push the number for San Francisco. Maybe Ayuk's available for us in the goings forward. And almost certainly that's not the case, but I did cuss him when I saw that it was Waddle. I was like, if CeeDee Lamb, who has an argument also as one of the better receivers this year, top 5 this past season, if CeeDee Lamb had signed that contract, I wouldn't be near as pissed, other than it's Dallas, that I am about the Waddle extension right now. And not that Jalen doesn't deserve it. He's great and fantastic, but you signed your number 2 receiver to a league-breaking extension, and I just feel like that was intentional, Mike. You bitch.
Well, I got furious with Jacksonville because it was Cooper Kupp's contract year when they signed Christian Kirk down in Jacksonville. I was like, he has never been the number 1 on his own team in Arizona. And now, and it wasn't a market-breaking deal, but it put him in the upper echelon, like a top 5 paid receiver that year.
That was Debo's contract year too.
It was Debo's contract year too.
We got screwed on that too.
I cussed them up and down. And now, to be fair, he is their number 1 now. But I was just like,
and has put up good numbers since he's been there.
And I posed this question to Santana, Normie: if it was your team, you're the GM, would you rather have, for the 2 market breakers that may or may not have earned these contracts that put them way pay grade wise in the upper echelon, would you rather have Christian Kirk or Jalen Waddle? It's tough, right?
Yeah.
I think Waddle.
I would say Waddle, but being an Alabama fan, that's a terrible question for me.
Yeah,
I saw a lot of Waddle when he was in college. I haven't seen as much of him in the pros, but in college I saw a lot of him.
I mean,
Plus,
man can still
Waddle always holds a special place in my heart because he does that. Yeah, he does the penguin dance, and that's actually the sign, the ASL sign for penguin.
Awesome.
So that will always,
of course.
Yeah, it's a bias for me.
I mean, without any bias, I couldn't care one way or another for either. I like them both. I have no clue who Christian Kirk is as a person. There's players, one played for Bama, one played for A&M, so I have no bias as a fan in that regard. But I think that Waddle gives you a higher ceiling overall.
And what's their ages?
That's a good question. At least Kirk's been in the league for a couple, 2, 3, 4 more years.
25.
Yeah.
Christian Kirk is 27.
It's not that far off. If it was 25 and 30, like that'd be a little bit easier. But yeah, 2 years.
All right, I'm going to bring numbers into this conversation just because I have them.
All right. Hit us with it.
All right, so Waddle last year, 72 receptions, 1,014 yards, 4 touchdowns. And I'm going to come back to their 2022 seasons too. Christian Kirk.
So 72 receptions, 1,400 yards.
1,014.
1,014. Okay.
Yeah. And 4 touchdowns. Christian Kirk, and I don't know. I mean, he may have. I don't see his games on here. He may have.
Kind of looks like there's some injury looking at his 2023.
Yeah, so not to judge him on this, but 57, 787, and 3 touchdowns. And then Brandon Ayuk, and I know, Kenyatta, you weren't asking about it, but I just figured I'd throw it in here.
Might as well.
75 for 1,342 and 7 touchdowns. Also, you know what? No, I'm all right. Christian Kirk and Jalen Waddle is a fine argument. I'll take Waddle. I think that Waddle's 2022 and Ayuk's 2023 are almost identical.
Okay.
Yeah,
and he suffered a season-ending core muscle injury. Christian Kirk, that is, last year.
Okay, well, we'll go back to his 2022.
Also, I'm not sure about Christian Kirk. What's his return like? Is he
like
a returner? Can he return? I mean, I'm sure he can, but like,
has he ever played the return game?
Waddle gives you, that he can be that. I don't think he does return stuff now, but he can be, and he's good at it.
He did it with the Aggies a bunch. Actually, it's one of the things that made him so electric. He's got a few of these with huge returns for the Aggies, but I don't. Oh no, and the Cardinals, but I don't see anything with him doing it for the Jags.
Okay, but he can.
Yeah, he can do it. They're built similarly. They play similarly. I just think Waddle's a little bit faster and a little bit better, but I could be dead ass wrong on that. We shall see. They both have a lot of time to play.
The point is, Miami fucked us, Jacksonville fucked us, and now my team has to suffer for it twice because of these idiots. And no wonder we went and drafted a receiver in the first round, because somehow we knew that we were going to get screwed. Again, the sun god contract didn't bother me, and I just hope that we get Ayuk signed before CeeDee Lamb or T. Higgins signs, because yeesh.
Yeah, 100% agreed. As far as that goes, no one fucked the market. Those both pissed me off because it had direct. Well, the first one pissed me off. This one, we don't have to sign anybody right now at the wide receiver position to a big contract. Although now, once we do, obviously, it just keeps going up and up and up, and there is a salary cap in the NFL. But the one that got everybody's going to have to pay the piper for, is the Browns with Deshaun Watson. And I'm just really glad that it paid off for them so far.
Yeah. Hey, they made it to a playoffs.
Made a weird massage getter the weird, creepy massage getter into the highest paid quarterback in NFL history, and went to the playoffs. Not because of him.
No,
in spite of him.
Yeah.
He hasn't done shit for them. And I hate that whole thing is played out the way that it had, because I loved watching him play football, but now I pull against the Browns after they made those moves.
Yeah.
I thought they should have stuck with Baker. I definitely don't think that you trade what you traded for him to the Texans, who now have done tremendous work with what the capital that they got out of that. And then Baker goes to Tampa. I mean, rehabs at the Rams. Excellent for us. Loved Baker. Goes to Tampa, and turns out he is a starting caliber quarterback. And it turns out that Deshaun Watson might never find his groove again, because I bet he can't get massages anymore. It's probably in his contract.
Yeah.
He's lost his mojo.
he goes into like the team building where they have team employees that do massages, and he's just like staring through the window, like watching
With the
other players get massaged. Like,
Yeah,
God, I'd
with-
really love that. My muscles are really tight. I won't be weird, I promise. Like, no,
Yeah.
no, you get out of here.
Or they're like, all right, we just spent like $50,000 on this massage chair we saw in the Sky Mall. That's all you're getting.
That's all you're getting. Oh, he's like rubbing his leg and like looking over at the.
Yeah.
Man, I really wish that somebody would rub this leg for me.
Really
Like,
could
no,
use a rub
Deshaun.
down.
No.
I got this little washcloth to put over my business.
Yeah.
That's not how this goes.
If you get one, you will have a male masseuse. He will have a squirt bottle.
Hey.
No,
No.
Deshaun, no. No.
Yeah, he doesn't discriminate. It's been so long since he's had a weird massage. He's like, I don't care. I'll take whatever you got in there. No, Deshaun, just go throw the football. You fucking nerd.
Yeah.
If you've got a soft-handed primate like a chimpanzee, I'll take anything.
We'll get a cat in there to need its claws into you.
Meow. No, get.
You want that kitty?
No. God no. I've heard y'all talk about him.
Mm-mm.
All right. Under the
So that
radar. Dark
Well-
horse teams.
Last individual player I do want to talk about. What is the Isaiah Bucks situation? So, like, I've been on vacation. I've been busy. The Stallions lost. Like, I've been more into Alabama softball here lately. So,
I haven't
I've
read
only
up,
got the headlines.
yeah, I haven't read up on it, but I do know that he was like, they're not my dogs. He turned himself in, which I think is always a positive sign.
Always.
And I think allegedly it was somebody renting the house from him, and there were 2 dogs on a screened-in back porch without water or food. I don't know if somebody, again, hadn't read up on it. I don't know if somebody called on the house or if it was visible from the road or what. I don't know what the situation was, but it seems just at early face value that I don't think that this is going to be anything for him. What it does make me laugh about is that what kind of offseason are the Chiefs having? Like, this has been
A hectic
like
one.
once or twice a week for the last month and a
Yeah.
half or something like that. It's just
Go ahead.
their PR team they are earning their money this offseason.
Kidding.
Rasheed Rice twice, Butker, regardless of how you feel about what he said, just that's in the news. Like, there's just nothing. This Bugs, there were 2 guys like last week. Like, it's just some. I'm not even surprised at this point when Bleacher Report pops up on my phone. It's like, Chiefs are at it again.
Yeah, they've had a rough offseason, and
Well, they shouldn't
Yeah.
hold every fucking play in the Super Bowl. Maybe everything would be okay. I don't know.
Hey, they never held during the regular season. It's not like they were the most penalized holding team during the regular season and then
Were-
had 0.
Were they?
Yeah.
Were they the most penalized? Because everybody complained about going into the Super Bowl that they weren't getting the holds called. Did I send y'all the
Well,
clip
I
of
thought at
Shanahan?
least that their offensive tackles, like rose
Yeah, their
right
tackles
and
were-
left.
we're
With the, like,
notorious for holding.
Yeah, notorious,
top
but I
5.
don't know. I don't know if they were actually getting called the whole time.
No, like I think that the
Uh,
numbers don't line up. Like for like you can hold this many times per game as an offensive line unit throughout the regular season, and then get
Nothing in
0
the Super Bowl
called in the
Against-
Super Bowl.
against one of the better defensive fronts in the league, where there's so
Probably
many
the
pictures
best,
of.
honestly.
It depends on who you ask, but they're up there, top 3, top 5. Nick Bosa is definitely one of the top 3, top 5, if not the number 1 pass rusher in the league. And there are so many pictures of him just getting yanked off his feet and held around the neck and just very blatant holds.
They had 30 holding penalties.
Where did that rank? Because I thought
They
that
led the league last year, and then they were
Yep.
5th in 22.
yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
With
Okay,
20
and then you get nothing in the Super Bowl.
and then, yeah,
In the
it's
biggest game that
0.
matters,
It's
it's
such
a big old
horseshit, dude.
goose egg.
Kyle has we get called earlier in that game. Trent does a let go and yank, and then Kyle pulls the ref aside and is like, "Look, my guy did it. Like I saw it too. He definitely held, but they're doing that every time." And then like explains what just happened, and then still not a call for the Chiefs or against the Chiefs. And I know I sound so biased when I talk about it, but I mean it's real. Like I think we've all as sports fan have witnessed it, and just gosh darn it, if, you know.
Yeah. Well, no, even like the Stallions, like the first couple of weeks of the season, like their defensive line was just tearing people up. And now it seems like they get held almost every other play. If it's a pass play, one of them is getting held.
Well, and it doesn't matter what
like
level of football.
bad.
I don't think it matters what level of football you watch right now. I don't know if it's just the overall like offense puts butts in seats or whatever, but I mean you watch Auburn, you watch Alabama, you watch college overall, whatever you're watching, holding just doesn't get called like it used to. And I'm not talking about in the manner of like you can call holding every play like we've all known and heard all our
Yeah.
lives. I'm talking we were watching players
is running away,
yeah.
and then they're getting this as they're getting away.
Yeah,
and they're
I mean
they're in front of the
yeah,
Guys,
like
you're talking to an Aaron Donald fan. I've been watching this for a decade, and yes, you guys are right. It's getting worse. Like as far as what offensive
it's as bad in the past. I mean, shit, Kenyatta, probably a decade, legit. Like just thinking about it, like it's been kind of miserable to watch defensive line guys. I mean, and especially because you have so many. And I understand, like, I mean, you can be as good as you want to on the offensive side, but you have somebody like Nick Bosa or Aaron Donald or T.J. Watt, Micah Parsons. You have these guys, like they're going to win. But I think
quarterbacks bring asses in seats.
That's exactly like offensive production and quarterbacks, and you want to protect the quarterbacks and this, that, or the other. But like, I mean,
it's still play by the rules or change the rules then.
Yeah, so just make it to where you can hold, I guess.
Yeah,
but
if
they do that, then they better start letting defensive backs hold receivers more. I mean, it just seems like it seems shitty, and I mean, the three of us can sit here and bitch about it. It's never going to change. Like, if San Francisco plays Kansas City next year in the Super Bowl, or watch the regular season game, like it won't surprise me if it's the same thing happening. Like, I mean, it's for everybody. Again, like I know that I'm biased when it comes to San Francisco, but again, Kenyatta, you just said you've been watching it happen to Aaron Donald. Like that's how I feel watching Bosa. Bosa gets by
100%.
More often than he doesn't, and is getting jersey pulled and pads pulled. And there was one. We can move on from this. I'll be here all night. I'll start pulling up the pictures and sending it out. Like,
yeah, as far as the Isaiah Bug thing, is 2 dog mistreatment charges that he turned himself in for. He says they're not his. House. So, and that's it for that. And then the next thing to move on to, if you guys want to get into it, is dark horse teams, and we can do college or pro, both, one or the other.
I've got 3 pro teams listed and noted on. So, and I can shoot from the hip if we want to do college, but
okay, we'll do pro. We'll do we'll just for our viewer out there, tune in for college dark horse teams next week. I can also shoot from the hip on that, but there's so many more teams. Like I would like to do a little bit more looking at it.
Same.
I mean, I can think of a couple of them off the top of my head, but they're not as dark horse. They're more like you're not going to count them in the top 5 to 10, perhaps, but they're they will start the season ranked. I would like to find some ones that might climb into the rankings.
Yeah, with that, I'm looking for somebody who is going to surprisingly make it into the top 12 with potential to make some noise once they get there.
It's just a broader scope, much broader scope. But NFL, you only got 32 teams to deal with. And then also from that, we can bounce to rookie quarterbacks and then wrap her up. If we had segments, this would be the final 2 segments, viewers. Or I said viewers. Why?
Viewer.
All right, Santana, you want to kick us off? Normie, you?
I do want to kick us off because I said this to you before we parted today. I wanted to make sure that this got out there before I actually watched Hard Knocks, because I don't know how you two feel, but I think the majority of us, when watching Hard Knocks, fall in love with the Hard Knocks team. It's one of the things that makes the show so good. So when I saw that the Bears are this year's Hard Knocks team, first off, I'm excited. I think that'll be a very interesting Hard Knocks. Secondly, they were already the team that I was picturing as somebody that could take a huge leap forward, and that I'm sure that it's easy that comes across as an easy one to say, but roster flipping on the offense again, and I know we've talked about it a few times on the show. Justin Fields got screwed because I think Justin Fields with this particular roster on the offensive side of the ball would maybe not necessarily thrive, but I think that we would have seen him take that next step because I don't think that your issue has been at quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. But you had Caleb and Odunze in the draft. Bringing Keenan Allen with DJ Moore from last year. You had DeAndre Swift in the backfield. This one was something that I circled, Gerald Everett. I didn't realize that they had brought him in, but pair him with Cole Kmet. And the defense was not their problem. They took a major step forward towards the end of last season, or at least second half going on last season. You're competing with a Vikings team who just lost their big-time quarterback. You're competing now. This is going to be the issue for the Bears, is that you're competing with a Lions team who has found a foundation in an up-and-coming Packers team. But it would not shock me. I do think the Lions win the North, and I don't know that it'll necessarily be overly close. But I think that the Bears have a better shot at pushing the Lions top seed in the North than the Packers do at the moment. I think that the pieces were already there, and now they've added the pieces that were missing beforehand. And I think that if Caleb comes in and has a CJ Stroud level season, I think they added players on the offensive line, so Caleb will be more protected than Fields was. Again, the defense is in a positive spot, and with all those weapons, I think that the overall core and foundation for Chicago is actually better than what Green Bay is, even though Green Bay just made the playoffs. And that's my first one. If we want to just rotate.
Do you got it?
Normie, you want to go or do you want me to go? It doesn't matter.
Well, y'all two are more NFL than I am.
I've got one kind of off the top of my head, and they obviously play in a very stout and multiple championship level division, and I don't have a great feel for a lot. There's a lot of question marks at a lot of positions and whatnot. But the Chargers, the San Diego Chargers, who play in LA and rent our stadium from us.
Everybody's favorite LA team.
Those sons of bitches. I do just believe that John Harbaugh is that good of a coach. Obviously, they are thin at receiver. But they've kind of already been on the cusp anyways. Herbert, when he's on, looks like a top 5 guy, no less than a top 10 guy. I think if we rounded all 32 teams, he still probably comes into the top 10. And he's going to be asked to do less for what Harbaugh is probably going to want to do, which is just pound the rock. And if he can do that successfully, that can get you through an 18-week schedule. And now, better be deep at running back, because it's going to put tread on, or take tread off the tires for all of them. They're going to get worn down. But that's also how you wear defenses down throughout the weeks. They're going to come in more and more tired. And they already have a lot of really good pieces at defense. The question mark big time as receiver. Obviously, they shored up the offensive line with Joe Alt in the draft. I don't know. I got a weird feeling that the Chargers might make some noise. Finally, because people have been saying it since Herbert had his breakout rookie year. Like, this might be the next one. This might be. And now, obviously, you lose Keenan Allen, you lose Michael Williams, or Mike Williams. I mean, I'm sure his full name is Michael, but I think he just goes by Mike. It's Mike. It's Mike. All right, Captain Gene. Just Captain. It's Captain's fine. But I have a weird feeling that the Chargers might make some noise, and the other two teams in the division have a quarterback room for the Broncos, Bo Nix, Jarrett Stidham, and Zach Wilson, who two of those three I actually still think can be starting caliber quarterbacks in the NFL, and then the other one's Jarrett Stidham. And then in Las Vegas, you've got Aiden O'Connell and Santana, help me out. Who is their other QB?
Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew, yes. Now, I actually like Gardner Minshew a lot, so I'm not trying to disparage him, but still, is that the guy who's going to take you to the promised land? Almost certainly not. But I really like him. I pull for him. If that happens, I've got nothing against Las Vegas. But so, yeah, you've got to play the Chiefs twice, and I don't know what the rest of their schedule looks like, but I do believe in Jim Harbaugh that much. Herbert has looked great basically since he's gotten into the league. He just can't win the big ones. This might be the year. He's still very young. So that's mine.
Well, they also, not to go along with Jim Harbaugh, hired Greg Roman as the OC. And with Greg Roman comes J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. So is there a superstar starter at the Chargers at the moment? No, but Isaiah Spiller is still there. Like, they've got a deep room. We'll see. Again, yeah, I'm with you that we'll see about what happens with the receivers. The biggest thing for the Chargers, maybe since I've watched football, has been health. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, can they not all start exploding throughout the season?
Right.
They do.
Right. They 1,000% do. But also Harbaugh also is a quarterback whisperer. So what good we have seen from Herbert, Herbert, I would imagine we see him take a jump this year, regardless of who he's throwing to. Which they did add Ladd McConkey. We'll see, what he contributes. Quentin Johnston from last year. I think that the coaching staff thinks that he's going to make a big jump this season. So, yeah, I could definitely see, and again, especially with the weaknesses in Denver and Vegas, I could definitely see the Chargers making a push, at least for the wild card spot.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to win the division. Although the Chargers explode on the field, the Chiefs are exploding off the field.
Yeah.
If this trend keeps continuing, they might be the AFC West favorites. The next thing that's going to come out is Kelsey punched Taylor Swift.
Oh my God!
So
Patrick Mahomes got
Taylor Swift dies.
If Kelsey were to assault Queen Taylor,
he'd disappear.
As upset about that situation as I would be, we wouldn't hear or be able to watch any sports without knowing what was going on next for that. Like, that would take up so much news.
Yeah.
So outside of just don't hit women or people in general, probably don't be punching people.
Oh, dude, that story ever came out, he would hang himself, Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would disappear. Swifties be crazy.
He'd get that Clinton depression.
Yeah. But yeah, no, and obviously I kid. I actually really like Travis Kelce. New Heights has made me get a better respect for him and some of the other things I've watched on him. Like, yeah, when he first got in the NFL, in the big diamond earrings and kind of how he presented himself and talked, I kind of had a problem with him. But obviously I hadn't heard him talk that much. He just kind of looked something like that would rub me the wrong way. But I actually think that he's a good dude that's had some ups and downs in his life. But damn, who hasn't? We've all made mistakes. I think he's a good dude at heart. So obviously, I don't help that on him. And Mahomes, it wouldn't be him. It would be something to do with his family that got him in trouble, whether it be his wife, brother, or dad.
He apparently has a half brother that plays for maybe Brown.
I did not know that.
Saw that today. Probably not even worth bringing up at the moment, but
yeah, if they can't start to wrangle a little bit, I am very excited to see Xavier Worthy and see if he can, obviously, to hold him to Tyreek Hill standards, because Tyreek Hill wasn't Tyreek Hill his first few years in the NFL, so that's an unrealistic goal. But the speed, now they've had a bunch of fast guys, but that's all they do is get speed, and it has not turned out. But watching Xavier Worthy actually, at least in college, can catch the ball consistently. So, I mean, they've been needing that. The guy who finally started to catch the ball consistently, he's like, well, I'm going to do a street race, wreck 7 cars, injure a lot of people, and then I'm real fast, guys. I'm going to get out of the car and run.
Just run, yeah. They won't know who I am.
I think the charges about him punching the photographer or whatever got dropped, but still, just another instance in Kansas City's offseason, just more news.
Yeah, not positive news, and I don't think there's that saying, any publicity is good publicity, any press is good press. I'm starting to disagree right this second, but we shall see.
Real quick, Graham Walker played at Brown, transferred to Rice this year, 6'3", 215, so pay attention to Rice receivers. One is Mahomes' half-brother, and if you ever watch a Rice game, I imagine they will say that 12 times.
Yeah.
Of course.
Just like that tight end at Alabama that he played quarterback in high school up until a certain quarterback named Trevor Lawrence came in and took over, so he moved to tight end. Was it Forrestall? No.
I don't know. I don't think I ever heard that.
Really? I heard it. They pretty much said it every single Alabama game. The announcers would.
Yeah, but y'all play in primetime a whole lot, and generally by primetime, I've ingested a few and I've stopped paying attention to what the announcers are saying.
I guess we can move on to. I've got one.
Okay.
And it's a real dark one. But I'm going to say the Tennessee Titans.
Tell me why.
Yeah. And that would mean a big step forward at the keyest position on the field.
Well, Will Levis showed some flashes last year. He was a young guy. But he did show some flashes. They got in Tony Pollard to replace, can you really say he's replacing Derrick Henry? But, yeah. But Tajay Spears showed some good stuff as well. They got Calvin Ridley on there. DeAndre Hopkins is still on their roster, and Tyler Boyd as their wide receivers. Shored up the offensive line with J.C. Latham in the draft. They got a really young tight end who had over 500 yards last year, so hopefully he can get better too. Defensive-wise, T'Vondre Sweat.
Added L'Jarius Sneed.
Sneed.
I'm with you, Normie. I'm sitting here looking at it. I think that is a fair prediction.
It hinges on one man. Well, two men, because new head coach now.
And then, yes, new head coach who's an offensive guy. So he should have a lot of help there, too. I don't expect them. I'm not saying that they're going to come in and win the Super Bowl, but I think they're in the running in the wild card.
Well, and that's a decent division to do it in. Also, you're looking at
Texans that are, they're rolling right now.
Well, and Anthony
fire for that first half of last season.
Yeah, but I think we all decided that the Jags were paper tigers at some point. Anthony Richards should be back this year, and if he stays healthy, what the offense in Indy could look like. But traditionally, historically, you're looking at a division that you can make some noise in as long as you are consistent.
It kind of reminds me of that NFC South.
Both the AFC and NFC South are very similar over the last few years, to where like you don't know which team, like all four of them can compete in that division. Like the NFC West for the last few years has been the Niners are going to be the number one team.
Mm-hmm.
The NFC North for the longest time with Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be the Packers. The NFC East, honestly, who cares? It's like whichever one of you idiots go, like we know what you're going to do. If Eli Manning's not quarterbacking one of your teams, then you're going to piss the bed. And then the AFC, obviously the Chiefs in the West. Well, the North is just a bloodbath. Like,
in the North,
teams are good.
I've got the Steelers as one of my other dark horse teams, and I know that seems not so dark horse because the Steelers are always involved. But the Steelers this offseason, what they added to really fix their issues, you add two different quarterback options that I think we can all agree is probably their best two options they've had since Big Ben retired.
Agreed.
You add, Najee's rushed for 1,000 yards all 3 seasons behind really garbage offensive line. They used their first two draft picks in this past draft on offensive linemen and a tackle and center. And again, another team that the defense was not the issue, especially if Watt can stay healthy. Right. And so you go from dealing really as a Steelers fan over the past couple of years of just being like, we're just a position off. You expect Pickens to make a big jump with better quarterback play. So, I mean, and obviously between them and Baltimore, Joe Burrow will be back in Cincy. And then, again, the bad massage getter and the way that the Browns were this past year, like we'll see what they do. So, again, it's another difficult division, but the Steelers are consistently 1 or 2 in that division, and they've been doing that even with poor quarterback play. So that was my other or second dark horse.
Yeah, and I agree with everything that you said. It's just crazy because basically for most of our football watching lives, you can count on the Ravens and the Steelers to be in the hunt or dominant. And the Bengals, middling. Marvin Lewis took them to how many straight playoffs? I mean, a bunch. Just couldn't really get over the hump in the playoffs, and the Browns have been the Browns. So, blah. But then all four teams now, especially with a healthy Burrow, like I would hate to be a coach in that division. That's a nasty one. Because John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin have kept those teams relevant for a long, long time, and I agree. Whether it's Russell or whether it's Fields, it's better quarterback play than what you've been getting. Wilson has proven, Pickett has proven to circus catches and crazy athlete. Pickens. I'm sorry, yes. Anyways, and then obviously the East for the longest time was the Patriots, and now it's transitioned to the Bills, although the Dolphins are incredibly competitive as well.
All right.
But the South divisions for both conferences, always up in the air. And I guess NFC East, but once again, who cares?
Who cares?
Well, and NFC East is my other team, is Washington, and that just stems from the very obvious roster flip that Peters did just in the offseason or in the free agency and in the draft. Get a new lease on the offense with Kingsbury coming in, and then obviously Jaden Daniels. I think I mentioned Washington is one of my favorite teams from the draft. whenever we talked about that last. And I think that the East, even with Dallas being as good as Dallas is and Philly being as good as Philly is, Washington has a real chance to make some people unhappy in the East this year.
Well, they've got the weapons in place at the very least. I mean, obviously Eckler still is an upper tier, maybe not tier one. I don't know if he's ever been. Well, he's had some tier one moments, but tier two ish is what I'd probably call him. And then Brian Robinson Jr. has been awesome. Terry McLaurin is a beast. Jahan Dotson is a beast. Very excited to see what Luke McCaffrey does. Zach Ertz, one of your better tight ends, top half in the league. And then Jaden Daniels is just so crazy dynamic. Yeah, I'm excited to see it. If I had to pull for an NFC East team, it'd be these guys.
Which is really easy to do because the other ones can just get effed.
I got no problems with the Giants, and I love all the Eagles players, but man, their fans are something else generally. The Cowboys fans do get under my last nerve. I don't hate them like Santana hates them.
Yeah, you do.
But
we all do. It's just part of being who we are as humans.
It's a Texas thing because like the University of Texas, same exact things. Like, this is our year. It's like, well, a broken clock can be right, 2 times a day. Like, is that what you guys are gambling on? Or
yes, it is. Yes,
it can't always be your year. It hasn't been your year since 1996, man. Like, in fact, when you guys are really, really good and dominant in the regular season, you go and shit the bed first round of the playoffs. Like, Dak Prescott has 1 playoff win. Tony Romo had 1 playoff win. I mean, you're talking about guys who'd be argued as top 5, top 10 quarterbacks in their day, and that Kirk Cousins. Actually, dark horse team, Falcons. Because Kirk Cousins has a lot to work with. Now, not that he had a deficit in Minnesota, but
Well, Kurt's always going to give you numbers. Does that translate to the amount of W's that Atlanta desires? I mean, more than likely not. But they also added Mooney, Rondale Moore, which I actually had forgotten about. And then obviously Bijan, Drake London, Algier, Pitts. Like, that's a roster that Kirk Cousins is going to take from a hard offense to watch to numbers. So It definitely wouldn't shock me if Atlanta takes over the South. Obviously, they have to get past Tampa very specifically. I think the Saints should be improved. That depends on Carr's consistency and Carr's health. But and the Panthers are there. I think they're probably going to struggle again this year too.
But yeah, no, they're dead in the water. I think we just watched one of the better college quarterbacks of all time go somewhere for his career to die based on the moves they've been making.
They didn't. Again, Atlanta was really missing a quarterback. They went out and got one. You've got, again, the Steelers missing a quarterback, missing offensive line. They went out and took care of that. You've got teams, Washington, really missing basically everything, went out and got it. I think that there are teams that have shown the ability to flip a roster quickly or at least plug holes quickly, and I don't think that we've seen that necessarily. Now, they did take a receiver with their first pick, which is something that was probably their biggest glaring weakness.
Adam Thielen should not be heading the receiving room. Not that he doesn't still have talent, nothing to disparage him, but
I think we all love Adam Thielen, but no, even when Adam Thielen was at his best, I don't think that you ever look at Thielen and go, yeah, I definitely want him to lead my receiving corps.
Yeah, you got Stephon Diggs and then Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, so I mean, like, even at his best, he was never going to be your number one guy. I don't think that he carries a receiving room the way that you need especially for a young guy. Like, I mean, if you watch Bryce last year, like, he had a lot of plays that were pretty darn good, and he makes it. I mean, we all know what Bryce Young at least was at Bama, and I think that he's shown flashes It's just that the roster. First off, I just don't. I mean, again, we've talked about it on this show before. San Francisco traded 3 first-round picks plus some to move up to take Trey Lance when the rest of the roster was as good as it possibly could be. It was a luxury to be able to make that move. If you're a team such as the Panthers and all you are missing is the quarterback, fine, make that move, but that's not where you were at. You need so much more, and I don't know. Obviously, you need a quarterback, but I think that there are better ways to do it than to trade off your, mortgage your future.
Well, speaking of your first dark horse team, they gave them a future.
Oh yeah,
I mean, they gave them all the future. Like Bears have all the pieces in place if Caleb Williams works out. Talking about a linchpin like Will Levis, and this will kind of transition us into rookie quarterbacks / young quarterbacks. Like the Bears defense is good, at least good enough to possibly win the North. Even with the addition of Xavier Legette, who I don't know if you guys watched any clips of him, is awesome.
The scary thing about him is he had the one season. Like he made the one impact season. I think that if he translates and continues to build on the one season from South Carolina, just looking at that right there, Deontay Johnson, Thielen, and Legette, like that looks significantly better than whoever the hell they were running, whoever Thielen's running mates were last year, Shark and Mingo. I mean, Mingo's still on the roster, and a lot of people expect big things from him eventually, but like the difference between what we were looking at last year for Bryce versus the 3 that we're now looking at. But
I agree that helps, but also Bryce was under duress damn near every play.
Well, and that's the biggest thing that you're missing now. Like, okay, you add Deontay Johnson, you draft receiver early, but what additions can we really be excited about that happened on the offensive line?
Mm-hmm. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I once again, I got nothing against the Panthers. I'm not pulling against them. It's just based on what they've done so far in the offseason, I thought, it kind of seems like another long year for Bryce. Hopefully not. I like Bryce, even as an Auburn fan. And I hate to see talent like that get wasted because, I mean, dude can put it. He's all state. He can put it wherever he wants it. But we'll see. But yeah, I think the Falcons have a real shot. I agree with you, Santana. The team that beats the Buccaneers. I think the Saints take a step forward. I think the Panthers, like you just said a few minutes ago, kind of stay in place. There's nothing that they've done that make me think that they're going to be. I mean, they might get a couple of more wins. It'd be hard not to, but I also wouldn't be shocked if they basically stayed the same record. But we shall see.
I forgot that they also made a coaching change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, that could help tremendously as well. I mean, new regime coach. I mean, my Rams were stuck in absolute mud from the Kurt Warner years, and then not Kurt Warner years. Dang it! I mean, it was the Kurt Warner years. I'm trying to think of the head coach. Mike, I should know this. I'm blanking. Doesn't matter. From him until Sean McVay got there, it was consistently below 500. Jeff Fisher gave us consistently.
I assume Mike Martz is who you were just talking about. I wasn't really listening, but I
that's who I was talking about. Yes, thank you. I knew Mike. I just couldn't get Martz because I'd already said Kurt Warner. But yeah. I mean, a head coach changes everything. Now, to be fair, Jeff Fisher got us to 500-ish, which was a step in the right direction because we had been a basement team, and then we became a 500 team, and then Sean McVay makes us a perennial playoff team other than the year after Super Bowl, and that was a bad one. But his only losing record as a head coach.
So go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead with whatever you're about. I was about to change subjects. Go.
Can we count the Jets as a dark horse.
I toyed with that one, Normie. I did. But a lot of people are already on them, so I don't know.
Because last year, I mean, I know we've talked about it on this show. Like they were one quarterback away from being a great team.
Yeah, that defense is insane. They've not only did they already have weapons. Garrett Wilson is a rising star at the receiver position.
Amazing.
They drafted a receiver. I think that the Jets, yes, but it all depends on Aaron. And I don't know if either of you have seen the videos, but there's some hobble pics of him going around that makes me a little concerned, especially with everybody's like, he could have played in the playoffs. And like, well, he couldn't play in the playoffs if he's moving like he is right now in OTAs, a couple of months before the season starts. So, yeah, I think that they absolutely are a dark horse. It just really depends on the 42-year-old's health.
Well, the only reason why I wouldn't call them, because I agree, I think they've got a real shot. I also love that's where Jordan Travis landed. Funny that his first name is Jordan. Guy in Green Bay.
Well, he was like a 4th, 5th rounder.
Yeah, they didn't pick him in the
5th round. So yeah, it wasn't a 1st round pick.
Yeah, they didn't screw Aaron, who'd been screaming for weapons, with that one. But the only reason why I wouldn't call them a dark horse is because people had high hopes for them last year.
Mm-hmm.
It just,
Well, speaking again of Hard Knocks darlings, like I watched Hard Knocks last year, one of my favorite Hard Knocks that I've watched in a long time, and thought this team is going to play San Francisco in the Super Bowl, and then 4 snaps in, and I guess 1 extra snap.
Yeah, when a top 5 quarterback, 3-time MVP, multiple-time MVP arguments for his career, goes down in the first 4 snaps of a game, I mean, yeah, it's going to derail a season. But obviously, Breece Hall is amazing. Garrett Wilson is amazing. Mike Williams he's already questionable, and he should be. That Q will say next to his name for fantasy football players from right now until the end of
last game of the season.
Yeah,
last game of the regular season.
Yeah.
Drafted Malachi Corley, who a lot of people compared to Deebo Samuel. I was hoping that he was going to fall to us at some point. If we are to lose Deebo, I'd like somebody who can do what Deebo does. And then added Tyron Smith at left tackle. So that's something, Carolina, that you do when your quarterback's under duress. You add protection.
Yeah.
Adding Tyron Smith, one of the better tackles in the league.
Huge. No, and that's the only reason, because I think that they're going to be competitive as long as Aaron Rodgers stays healthy. Absolutely, I do. But I just can't call them a dark horse because they had high expectations last year. Now it seems like they've really only gotten better. It all really, once again, hinges on, does Aaron Rodgers stay healthy, and how healthy is that ankle? Like Santana was saying, there's some pics and vids of him. I haven't seen him yet. Santana was telling me this right as we were parting from a work day today. That
are you looking for him, Norman?
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully this is not NFL footage. They will bust your ass. Ask Norman about it.
Yeah.
We're just gonna do a recap of the week. Just kind of go through the recap highlights.
And we're gone.
Yep. Take that down.
Let's see. I found a video of a guy talking about it. Okay. Let me see.
Oh, they also just recently signed Terry Cohen, so that's hopefully he can come back.
Yeah.
So these are the ones you.
Yeah. So he does this, whatever he's doing here, and who knows what the hell he's looking at. But then this is what the hobble.
Yeah, it ain't right yet.
Which, I mean, if anybody can play on one leg, he'll do it. But, you know.
I do have to say, especially recently, just being my age and then actually trying to exercise a lot. Coming back from something, even if it doesn't hurt, you still are gingerly using it.
Well, you feel the ghost of it.
Yes.
It ain't like bouncing back when you're 20, 23, 24, 25.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's like a week, and then it's like, okay, it's gone. I can do exactly everything
Yeah.
I can.
The only
Like when my back was hurting, like my back's not really hurting, and it hadn't been hurting for like a week. But I was bending down to grab something the other night, and my wife was like, "Is your back still hurting?" But I was doing it where you put your hands on your thighs and kind of squat down, but it was just that, like, I just kept doing that, and then now I'm like, it's not hurting, but I'm still like doing it as it squatting down and picking things up as it is.
mm-hmm. When he tried to rush the comeback, I think that he really wanted to be a story.
Well, and that's the problem too, is or not problem. It would be my concern is that I don't think that he took his time because he wanted to be back just in case they made the playoffs, and now we're here 2 months out, and again 2 months out, or longer. I don't even what month are we in, but
Almost June.
About to be in June.
Yeah, so he's got time that he'll get more comfortable, and these are the first few days of OTAs. So I think that anybody overreacting or negatively reacting would be, I mean, it's an overreaction currently. But if he's not ready for the season, then it becomes what kind of voodoo bullshit was he talking about last year, where he's like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Because Cousins, I mean, when is Cousins supposed to be ready?
I think that they've got him like set as week 1 starter, but I'm not positive on that.
Because I think that he
was getting asked similar questions, obviously, in a much toned down manner. First off, he's not a Pat McAfee regular guest, and secondly, he's not the personality that A-Rod is. He's like, oh God, no, I'm not coming back this season.
Right? Yeah.
I'm looking ahead to the next season.
he said something about how Aaron's different. I'm taking my time. I'm going to do, and if Kirk is able to start week 1 and Aaron's not, then we're going to all go back to the McAfee show and all these other times that Aaron was asked about it and, probably talk shit about him. So that's the only thing that when I saw that video, I was like, ugh.
Yeah. I mean, once again, I got nothing against A-Rod. I guess A-Rod's already taken. I need it a lot. Aaron. We'll see. He's never offended me. He's an odd bird, no doubt about that. But it definitely marches to the beat of his one and only drum that no one else can hear. But I'm not pulling against him, but I do think just watching that, it's like, man, you were talking about being like, if they made the playoffs, if they're making a push, possibly being ready to go, and then watching that, it's like, you would not have been ready to go.
No, there's no way. Not watching that, no.
This is 5 months after that. 5+ months after that.
Unless for whatever reason you just thought, you know what, this team is good enough without me that even a half-assed me will get us a Super Bowl and I can retire on top. Like, that's the only reason I think that which, I mean, I don't know. It's probably just best that we will never know about that situation, because I would hate to have this story been so cool. Like, oh, look how fun it is that one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time is charging back, using voodoo and whale semen or whatever the hell he was talking about there for a while, and like, oh, what a story, and then what a story, and then he blows it out again, and then that sets him up to not even be ready for this year. So it probably all worked out for the best. What made me uncomfortable about that video was like, man, like you kind of talk too much shit, you kind of,
yeah.
Well,
you kind of, and you mentioned it, Kenyatta, him being on McAfee and getting to talk about it week in and week out, like, and then them hyping it up and not blaming them, like, it's obviously a fun part of the show, but
100%.
Well, this is Kirk Cousins in February, so February 26th.
Well, and you
in
can
the-
tell that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he is a little ginger.
Yeah, you can tell that he's not there yet either. Also, Kirk's game is not nearly the same as what Aaron's is. Aaron is, yeah, you can tell that he's not getting off that back foot as
No, I didn't
well
have
as
the
he
same
normally
push
would.
off. That's all.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that
generally
skip right
drive
there
through.
is
No.
yeah, but that's in February,
That was in February.
and if he's able to do that in February, then hopefully when we see his videos coming out at OTAs, and I mean Aaron, that could have been he could have rolled his ankle. The man is 64 or whatever it is,
I think
like you were
40
talking
now.
about, Normie, like we're not young dudes anymore that can just bounce back. He damn sure isn't, and he could have just landed on it weird, and he brought the video of him grabbing at it was like making sure that it's still there.
Yeah.
And it could have just been as simple as he rolled his ankle, and that's why he was ginger on the drills. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to speculate about, and we won't know until we know. I mean,
right?
But that's what our show and any sports show, especially in this season, is about: speculation.
Mm-hmm.
Which do you guys want to talk about? Young QBs? You want to bump it? We're in 2 hours now. It doesn't matter to me.
Well, our fan says
just showed up.
Oh, hey, our fan, our viewer.
Our viewer.
That's for the fan to decide.
That's why we should change the name of the show to.
You're not kidding.
And then LB and Cody just take turns being the fan.
Yeah.
Sometimes MBL.
Yeah.
Hey, look. We've got 2 fans tonight. No, look, we actually have popped up to 3 suddenly. It's like they knew the show was been at 1 for over an hour. Somebody clicked the wrong YouTube link. What the hell am I watching?
It's Natty Light finally. Like, let's check this guy's out. No, no. Well, let's look at rookie/young QBs next week. Because
that
I feel like we could talk about that one for a while.
For sure.
Okay.
That and college dark horses, and hopefully we're talking positively about the Stallions.
I hope so.
We got that for anybody or all 3 of our viewers. So rookie/young QBs in the NFL next week. We've got college football dark horse teams and a Stallions recap and projecting even further into the playoffs. Maybe find some graphics for what the path would look like for the Stallions, and I'll get on that. Obviously, after this weekend,
I'll do some doodles. Is that what you mean by
doodles?
Graphics?
Well, Pinata already does his doodles during streams.
I haven't done that except for the one time, but yeah, that was a zone out for me. I drew a nice raven.
There you go. You hear the heart beating under the floorboard?
It's my favorite one, by the way.
What's that?
Telltale Heart. He made a Poe reference.
Yeah, I asked you the heartbeat beating under the floorboard.
Oh, yes, the raven. Actually, kind of. Buster's laying right here, and he's giant. Like,
I was gonna say that's a big heartbeat there.
I definitely hear the deep breathing of a sleepy dog.
Could be mine. She's right next to me too.
I was gonna say
I definitely hear your outside cranked up, like just over the last 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, it definitely got to that point.
I told them, I said, guys, just give me 2 hours, and then I guess they realized what time it was. They're like, all right, crank it up.
Like they knew they're dead on time.
No, right, kitty.
Oh.
I also like how when you asked her about Deshaun Watson and whether she would need his back.
No, not at all. I listened to the show.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. At one point, she was actually like laying and laying her head on my shoulder.
Oh yeah, I saw that you had a neck pillow.
Isn't that right? Yeah. Well, that's usually why the squirt bottle's here, because usually wants to be hop in my lap, and it's like, no, you can be anywhere else you want. But you like the warm spot, don't you?
I've been surprised that Buster and Soki, we've kind of made it routine to where all three of us have at least one animal guest, but
Yeah.
for the most part, he's made some noise over here, and I'm sure you guys have seen me glance this way, but for the most part, he's just been chill. He's
What do you want?
not laying in his bed though; he's just stretched out on the wood floor.
What do you want?
And I guess Soaks is chill tonight.
It's Pins with me today.
Oh, it's Pins. Oh, okay, well of course,
And
yeah.
she's on her all time. This is my. I sit here when Dad is riding, when Dad is sportsing, when Dad is doing whatever. We got rid of the chair that ottoman goes to fucking years ago, but I fought to keep it because she's been using it to sit next to me while I was doing computer stuff for a long time. So.
Well, yeah,
that makes sense.
I have a bed that she can lay in, but it's like, no, I have to be touching you.
Oh, animals.
Yeah.
We don't deserve them.
Are you needy? You being needy? Yeah.
I don't know. I think I've done something along my way to deserve Soki. I don't know what I did, but
yeah, that's fair.
I must have earned it at some point.
Well, this one's name it used to be Shitty Kitty, but now it's just Kitty. She has toned down a lot. No, it got to the point where even because my mom gives our animals gifts, but on her list of gifts she needed, it was like, Hunter, Abby, Rory, Shitty Kitty. Isn't that right?
That is the most vocal cat I've ever met in my life. If you say stuff to her, she will talk back.
And I've tried to get a phone to record it, and it's like she gets nervous and it's like, nah. Or right now, and I've been trying to kind of get her to, and it's like, nah.
I'm not going to dance. I'm not a monkey.
Yeah. How dare you? You will pet me now. Alrighty.
All right, boys.
There she is. Again. No.
It's like you just have a bag of cats you just keep pulling cats out of.
Yeah. I'm surprised the other one's not over here too. Because she's just a turd. She's not really shitty. She's more just a turd. But anyways, good show. We got a lot on the agenda already for next week. So any final thoughts, y'all?
Fuck the Dolphins and their signings.
Fuck the Dolphins,
dude. I guarantee you that I just have a gut feeling that I'll have something to bitch about next week too, because CD or T will get signed, and that will just push Ayuk's negotiations further and further away from a completion. So prepare for that. Add that in. AJ bitches. Excuse me. Santana bitches.
That's in every show. I've got it right here.
You gotta make space.
T-shirt idea.
There you go.
I mean, hey, consistency. Consistency is huge.
I got a lot of complaints, and if y'all don't listen to me, then I have to say it to other people, and we damn sure know they're not listening. So,
well, like we always say, that is for the one viewer to decide.
That is for the viewer to decide. One of my final thoughts, and another, preview to possibly not next week, but weeks coming. The settlement and Congress getting involved in the NIL deals looks like we're looking. The NIL already shook up college football in and of itself, and now we're looking at something that just a rapid downhill change for what will be college athletics. Which, that's nitty gritty stuff. I don't want to get too deep into it, but I do kind of want to see how it all shakes out because it is starting to get interesting.
Yeah, I tried to listen to a bunch of the coaches from the meetings, the SEC meetings and Destin this week, and just really couldn't get into any of it because they were all just straight getting asked about the NIL stuff. And I'm excited to see where we go, but I'm not interested in listening to the ins and outs of it until we get to where we're going. Like
that's exactly me. Like that. It's just it's fodder for a later day. But I'm excited to see where we land, and maybe not even excited, other than it gives us content. I am curious at the very least, though. But yeah, I'm with you, Santana. Like I don't until we're there. Like that's speculation that this isn't the show for.
Alrighty. Well, like I said, it's been a fun show. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button, smash it, press it, do whatever. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and also click that bell for all. And that way, anytime we go live, you will get a notification that we are live. And I think that's it. So we will see everybody next week. Y'all have a good one.
See y'all.